Welcome everybody to another Writer English academic writing video. In this video we're going to study another academic writing template, problem solution. In this template you will learn how to describe a problem and solutions to this problem. We're going to look at the components and the structure of this template, how to write the components and the paragraphs, and there will be many examples. The video will contain a great deal of information and it's going to be intensive and fast-paced. So I recommend that once in a while you pause and take notes. Also, you can use the time-stamped outline in the description of the video in order to move around if you need to. And make sure that when you watch the video once, you come back, review, and reinforce what you've learned. So let's start with the question, what is a problem solution essay? A problem solution essay is basically an essay in which you analyze a specific problem and you recommend a few methods for solving this problem. Remember, the problem should offer some challenges, but at the same time, it should be possible to solve the problem. The problem that you propose to speak about should be specific and to the point, and also relevant to modern life. If it is something people dealt with a long time ago, most probably it is not worth talking about now. If it is something very general, most probably it is not possible to solve the problem. Remember, problems are specific to certain situations. Also, the solutions that you propose should be specific, to the point, and practical. And most importantly, each solution that you propose should be evaluated on the basis of some guideline or guidelines. You should be able to decide which solution is the best solution. There are three main ingredients in this template. You need one specific, well-defined problem. You need three effective, practicable solutions. And of course, you need evaluation of each solution you recommend in order to show which one is the most effective. Let's start with the first ingredient, the problem. The problem that you choose should be specific to a situation. This is really important. You have to define a situation, a certain time, place, perhaps group of people, and the problem in this context. Remember, the same problem may require different solutions in different situations. Secondly, your problem should be indivisible. If it is possible to break the problem into smaller problems, it's too general, and it's a good idea to go with one of those smaller problems. Also, the problem should be a challenging problem, but it should be resolvable. If it is too challenging and there are no solutions, most probably it's not a good topic to speak about. If it is too easy, then again, it's not worth writing about. And also make sure that your problem is relevant to modern life. It should be something that people are struggling with today so that it is worth writing about and researching. The second ingredient is your solutions. Remember that your solutions must be implemented easily. It should be financially, practically easy to put them into practice. Your solutions must be effective at solving the problem. If you have a solution that solves part of the problem, that's not a good solution. Solutions should solve a problem 100%. Your solution must be cost effective. If you have a number of solutions that solve the problem, and one of them is less expensive than the other ones, it's a better solution. And also your solutions should be feasible. Academically, we could say they should be practical. They should follow guidelines from a special field like medical guidelines or industry guidelines so that we can put them into practice. Now, one question is, how do you find solutions whenever you have a problem? Now, there are different ways of solving a problem. You can see some of them on the screen. And it is also possible to mix and match. So sometimes you solve a problem by adding something. If something is missing, an ingredient is missing, a gadget, a machine, a person is missing, then you can add them and solve the problem. Sometimes it's the other way around. There's a problem because there's an extra element which is causing the problem. Then you need to delete that element and solve the problem. Sometimes there are problems because people do not have some information. They're not aware of something. Then you need to educate or inform them. And sometimes they do have the information, but they have no motivation. For example, many people who smoke, they even know better than non-smokers that smoking is harmful, but they have no motivation to solve the problem. So sometimes you need to motivate people in order to solve a problem. Sometimes you need a kind of law or regulation to be passed or made in order to solve a problem. And sometimes there is some law or regulation, but nobody follows them. And all you have to do is you have to create the proper situation and enforce those laws or rules in order to solve the problem. Sometimes you cannot get some result and there's a problem because you're using the wrong method or procedure. So you change the method or procedure and solve the problem. Sometimes you need to create something new. Could be a machine, a method, some theory, a place. Sometimes there are problems because people cannot agree. There are disagreements, and then it's a good idea to strike a compromise. If people can meet halfway, we can solve the problem. Sometimes it is possible to adapt a solution from another situation. Sometimes there's a person in the leadership causing the problem. We can change the leader. Like, for example, a soccer team that doesn't get results, you can change the coach. And sometimes the problem is the people's attitude towards something. They may not believe in something, or they may be antagonistic to some idea. And all you have to do is change the attitude. Of course, usually in real life situations, you need to use a combination of these things. Sometimes you need to add something, but at the same time, you need to educate people about it and perhaps pass a law. And together, you have three different ways forming one solution. The last ingredient in problem solution is the evaluation of your solutions. Simply making a list of solutions is not enough. You should be able to say which solution is the most effective solution. And in order to be able to do this, you need to have some kind of measure or guideline which is specific to your situation. This is really important. In order to evaluate a solution, whether it is effective or not, you need to look at the solution. Sometimes for the same problem, you have different solutions or different effective solutions because the situations are different. Now, your guidelines could be, for example, the cost, the time, the labor, technology, or other factors, depending on the situation. Now, this is a simple structure for a problem solution essay. We can start with an introduction at the beginning. Then in the body, you have a description of the problem in one paragraph in which you talk about the different aspects of the problem and the situation. Then you could have three solutions, and inside each solution paragraph, you also discuss the evaluation of each solution. And finally, you will have your conclusion at the end. Now, how do you find a topic? You remember that you always start with a general area of interest. This is something that you have studied, you've been doing, you've been researching. Could be something general like health, environment, technology, etc. In this area of interest, you find a relevant problem and you narrow it down to one specific problem. Again, make sure that the problem is specific. And then you research the context, the situation, different aspects of the problem. And then you make a list of possible solutions to the problem. You need to study your solutions, research your solutions, and then choose the best three that you have. And also you need to have some idea about the evaluation of each solution. And then when you have all these ingredients, then you start your library research, you find academic resources to back up your ideas. This is an example of finding a topic, brainstorming and finding a topic. Here we're starting from health as the area of the interest. The problem we want to speak about is obesity, but obviously it is a very, very general problem. And remember, whenever you start speaking about general problems, it's really difficult to give any solutions to them, because when you make it specific to a certain situation, then it is possible to find practical solutions. Now, one way to narrow the problem down, is to make it specific to a certain group of people, to a certain place, and to a certain time. And this is what we're doing today. And this is what we're doing here. This is how the process can go on. You can ask yourself, okay, I want to speak about obesity, but I don't want to talk about obesity in general. All right, perhaps I talk about obesity among teenagers. So you add the idea of teenagers to your topic, obesity. You say, okay, I don't want to talk about obesity everywhere in the world. I will just narrow it down to Canada. And also, I don't want to talk about obesity at all times. I just talk about obesity in the past 10 years. And then you add the idea of teenagers, a specific group of people, and Canada, a specific place, and a specific period of time, 10 years. And then you get the specific problem that you have. So you will speak about teenage obesity in Canada in the past 10 years. You can see that now you have a context, you have a situation, which is teenagers in Canada in the past 10 years. And then it is possible to look at the problem in this situation more specifically. It is possible to find solutions to this problem in this specific situation. So first you have a description of the problem, again, based on the situation you have, and then you brainstorm for possible solutions. Now, remember that you need 2-3 solutions, depending on the template that you're working with. Here we have 3 solutions, but notice that I have found 9 different solutions to the problem here. And the reason is that when you make a list, you need to start working on the list, and then you will eliminate some of the solutions. For example, you may look at number 1 and 2 and see they are very similar. You may combine them to have one good solution. Or you will see that some of them are not good enough for your situation. They could be good solutions to the problem in other situations, but not your situations. Or practically, when you're looking for materials to back up your ideas, you need citations and charts and graphs and data analysis. You may not find any to support any of the solutions, and obviously you won't be able to write about them later on in your body paragraphs. This is how you eliminate the solutions that you cannot work with, and you choose the best 3 that you have. Then you need to outline. This outlining is a very important process, because your outline is the map of all the components that you have from the very beginning of your essay to the very end at different levels. As you can see here, when you outline, you use Roman numbers to show the paragraphs. And we have 6 here. We have the introduction and the description of the problem, 3 solutions, and finally the conclusion. Then you use capital letters in order to show components inside each paragraph. For example, in your introduction, you have a hook, you have background information, you have a thesis statement. In your description of the problem, you have more components. And you can use Arabic numbers in order to show other elements inside each component, inside each paragraph. Again, looking at the introduction, you can see that inside the background information component, we have 3 facts, right? Fact 1, fact 2, and fact 3. It's a great idea to outline everything from the beginning to the end. Of course, the outline you can see here is not based on any topic, any problem. When you have your specific problem and the solutions, then of course you will use information about your topic and you put them here. It's a good idea to brainstorm, to research and complete the outline, and then follow the outline, because when you outline everything and work with the outline, you are sure that you're including all the components, all the elements in the right orders and in the right amounts. All right. Of course, you have to learn about the template. That is what we're doing, to know how much you need in each section and how you write each section. We'll speak about the paragraphs in a short time, but you need to outline everything from the beginning to the end. Now, the first paragraph that you have is your introduction. There are three main components in your introduction. You have a hook at the beginning, which is just one sentence in order to attract your reader's attention. Academically, you remember that there are different ways to write your hook. The most popular and common hooks in academic writing are facts, statistics, and citations. It is possible to have other things as your hook at the beginning, but these are the most important ones. Please watch our video on introductory paragraphs for more information about hooks. Then you need your background information. This is the part in which you give 3-4 facts about your specific problem. And finally, you have your thesis statement, which is the most important sentence in the whole essay. This is the sentence in which you say what the specific problem is. You say that you want to solve the problem, and you make a short list of your solutions here as well. Now, for more information about all the components in the introduction, please go back and watch the video on introduction that we have. For the thesis statement here, there are 4 steps when you want to write your problem solution thesis statement. First, remember you need to name your specific problem in your thesis statement, even if you have named the problem in your background section in your hook. Then you need to use a problem solution verb phrase, something like explicitly address, effectively tackle, completely solve. That shows that we can solve the problem. Then somehow you say there are solutions, and then you make a short list of your solutions. These are some examples of problem solution thesis statements. Teenage obesity in Canada in the 21st century can be effectively tackled by engaging in dynamic exercises, following a healthy diet, and providing professional support. As you can see, we are naming the problem here, teenage obesity in Canada in the 21st century. We are using a problem solution verb, effectively tackle, and we're making a list of the 3 solutions that we have. Engaging in dynamic exercises is the first one. Following a healthy diet is the second one. Providing professional support is the third one. Many children suffer long-term consequences of bullying. The problem can be easily remedied through a 3-pronged approach: educating the parents, encouraging a community atmosphere, and implementing a peer mediation program. Again, you're naming the problem here. That's long-term consequences of bullying in children. You're using a problem solution verb here. You have easily remedy, and then you're making a list of your 3 solutions as well. The first one is educating the parents. The second one is encouraging a community atmosphere. And the next one is implementing a peer mediation program. There are 3 ways to solve the garbage problem in Riverside: education, improvement of recycling program, and enforcement of regulations. Again, very simple sentence, but you're naming the specific problem here. You have garbage problem in Riverside. You have a very simple problem solution verb, simply to solve. And you have a list of your solutions: education, improvement of recycling program, and enforcement of regulations. A number of important things here, especially about how you make a list of your solutions. Notice that solutions could be added to the end of your thesis statement, depending on the grammar of the sentence in a variety of different ways. For example, in the first thesis statement, you have the verb tackled, a passive verb, and you have the preposition by. And after this preposition, you're making a list of your solutions, engaging in dynamic exercises, so on and so forth. In the second one, you have a complete sentence, and then you're using a colon and you're making a list. This is also something that you're doing in the last thesis statement. Another thing to remember is that whenever you're making a list in English, a list of anything, the forms and the functions should be the same. In this case, you're making a list of solutions, and the grammar that you use for all of them on the list, they should be the same. All right, so you could have noun, 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 verb ing, verb ing, verb ing, verb ed, verb ed, verb ed, adverb, 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 adjective, adjective, adjective. That is something, this is called parallel structure. That is something that you need to follow. For example, in the first and second examples we have here, you just have verb ing to introduce your solutions, right? In the first one, you have engaging in dynamic exercises, following a healthy diet, and providing professional support. You have ing. Same in the second one. You have educating and encouraging and implementing. In the last one, you have just nouns. You have education, improvement, enforcement. These are nouns. So that's something very important to remember. One more thing is that whenever you're making a list in English, usually we order all the items from the least important, least significant to the most important, most significant. So in this case, your first solution is supposed to be a good solution. Remember, you're not supposed to have weak solutions. All the solutions should be good ones. But when you work with them, when you research them, you see that one is good, one is better, one is the best, the most effective. And then what you do is that you start talking about the good solution, and then you move on to a better solution, and then you keep the best solution for last. All right. So whenever you look at the list here, for example, the last example we have here, education is supposed to be a good solution. Improvement of recycling program is a better solution. But the best solution is supposed to be enforcement of regulations. All right. And remember that this is the author's perspective. Okay. You as the author collect the materials, do the research, collect data, analyze data, and you come to the conclusion that this is the best solution. Now, in the problem paragraph, which is the first body paragraph, you need to describe the problem thoroughly. Depending on the situation, it is possible to have more or less, but these are the most important things that you need to include in your problem paragraph. At the very beginning, you have a topic sentence, the sentence in which you say what the main idea of the paragraph is, and you introduce the problem there. Then you need to speak about the background of the problem a little bit, 1-2 sentences. You can talk about the cause or causes of the problem. This is really important. This part should be a little bit more extensive. And the reason is that in many cases, the solution that you give attacks the cause or causes of the problem. It is usually by removing and eliminating the cause of a problem that we can absolutely solve it. You can also talk about the effect or effects of the problem. You can name the people or places or other variables affected by the problem. It's a good idea to talk about the significance of the problem. In this section, you're saying why it is important to speak about the problem. Why not another problem? Why this problem? Also, you must mention the measures or guidelines that you have for effective solutions. You remember that you need to evaluate your solutions and decide which solution is the best solution. And in order to do this logically and objectively, you need a kind of guideline, like, for example, time or cost or whatever it is. And it should be mentioned here in your problem paragraph. And of course, at the end of every body paragraph, you need to have your summary and conclusion. You have 3 solution paragraphs. In the solution paragraphs, you will be discussing your solutions, of course. You need to describe, examine, and evaluate your solutions here. So basically, there are 2 main parts in your solution paragraphs. You need to identify the solution. Usually, you do it in your topic sentence. Again, this is the sentence at the beginning of your body paragraph in which you introduce the main idea. Then after this sentence, you need to describe your solution. Remember that in many cases, solutions are processes. There are a number of steps that we need to take from the beginning to the end in order to solve the problem. If this is the case, then make sure that you describe all those steps in the right orders. If it is important, you can include the background and precedents of the solution as well, whether the solution has been used in other situations, other places, other times. And then you need to discuss the pros and cons of each solution in the second part. This is your evaluation. And again, remember that this is done based on the measure or guideline that you have chosen for the efficacy of your solution. So here you may speak about the cost, time, labor, feasibility, whether the solution meets or surpasses current industry standards, so on and so forth. Remember, while you're working on your solution paragraphs, you start with a good solution and you build up to the best solution last. All right. So you always place your least acceptable solution first, and then you progress in order to the best. Also, in the last solution paragraph in the evaluation section, you need to clearly explain why this one, which is your chosen solution, is the best or most effective solution. Finally, you come to your concluding paragraph. This is the paragraph in which you're wrapping up everything. Remember, you're not including any new information here. You're not giving any details here. You have only three main components. You have a restatement of thesis. This is the part in which you're repeating your thesis. And all you need to do is you go back to your introduction. At the end of the introduction, you have your thesis statement. You read it and paraphrase it. Then you summarize the key points that you have. The key points for problem solution are your solutions. So go back to your solution paragraphs. Look at the topic sentences at the beginning, the first sentences in which you introduce the solutions, and you summarize those here in the same order. And finally, you write your final comment. And you can do a variety of different things. Remember, it is just one sentence. It is your last chance to have some kind of impact on your readers. And these are some suggestions for your final comment. Remember, you need only one of them. You can highlight one of the solutions that you have, usually the best one, which is the last one. You can emphasize the significance of the problem, why it is important to talk about this problem, why it is important to solve this problem now. You can give an appropriate, relevant warning. For example, if your problem is one that is claiming lives, then it's a good idea to give a warning. In simple words, you're saying that we need to solve this problem, otherwise more people will lose their lives. And of course, you can encourage your readers to contribute to solving the problem somehow. You can ask them to educate themselves and others, contribute to a law, enforcing a law, so on and so forth, whatever it is that you can ask them to do. In this video, we looked at the different aspects of the most common type of academic writing. Make sure that you watch the video again if you need to. And most importantly, remember that you need to put all the ideas into practice. It is by writing that you learn how to write.